You ever wake up to the sound of someone stealing your land? Not quiet paperwork stealing, I mean diesel engines, steel posts, and a woman in designer sunglasses sipping Starbucks while she watches it happen. That was my morning. And I wasn't just the landowner she was stealing from. I was the man who wrote the damn map. The first clang hit at 6:03 a.m. metal on rock, sharp enough to rattle the coffee cup in my hand. By 6:15, the smell of diesel drifted through my pecan grove, my father's grove, 43 feet inside my boundary line. Delilah Price sat there in her white golf cart, one hand on her straw cup, the other waving at me like we were neighbors at a block party. Behind her, a crew of contractors drove metal posts into soil my grandfather pulled from the creek bed in 1891. I'm Eli Warner. Third-generation rancher. County Surveyor for 26 years. If a boundary line exists in Cedar Hollow County, I've measured it, stamped it, and signed it. And right now, a luxury HOA president was pretending my life's work didn't exist. She didn't know yet, but she'd picked a fight with the man who built the blueprint she was standing on. My grandfather built this ranch from limestone he dug by hand. My father, Big Jim, expanded it to 240 acres of cattle, pecans, and clear running spring water. When he died 2 years ago, I found a note tucked in his old survey case. Don't let anyone take this. I promised him I wouldn't. But I'd been fighting my own kind of erosion, debt from my wife's cancer bills, empty hallways where her laughter used to live, and a daughter up in Denver who thought I should sell the ranch and move to a condo. Not a chance. Every dawn, the smell of wet soil and cowhide keeps me anchored. The ranch is more than land, it's memory in physical form. And I'd be damned if I'd let a woman with a yoga mat and platinum highlights erase it. Delilah Price moved into Birchwood Estates 18 months ago, the kind of development that markets rural serenity but hates the smell of actual livestock. $700,000 homes, community meditation spaces, and strict rules about fence height and trash cans. 3 months after moving in, Delilah was HOA president. Her first act? Reporting the previous president for leaving trash bins visible for 11 minutes. Then came the letters. Complaints about cattle noise disrupting her meditation. Demands that I move my industrial livestock operation 500 feet from her property line. I laughed and filed them, circular cabinet, right next to the garbage. But Delilah wasn't the kind to quit. At commission meetings, she talked about dust from outdated agricultural practices and rural pollutants harming respiratory health. Lady, it's Texas. Dust is our perfume. 3 weeks before it happened, a fence permit from Birchwood Estates HOA crossed my desk. Routine. Stamped and approved. My assistant, Brenda, squinted at it. Isn't that your neighbor? System works the same for everyone, I told her. Famous last words. That morning, the crew's foreman showed me a survey stamped by a company I'd never heard of, Apex Survey Solutions. The boundary line on their document shoved my land into theirs by 43 feet. I ordered a stop. Delilah arrived instead, perfume first, voice second. Oh Eli, surely you understand property lines, she said, smiling like she was teaching kindergarten. This land was always ours. Your father's fence was wrong. By 4 p.m., her crew finished. By 5, my cattle were trapped behind her new 8-foot chain link. At 5:47, she texted, please remove your animals from HOA property within 72 hours or impound fees will apply. I sat there watching the sun sink behind the fence that split my inheritance in two. Then I remembered Dad's words, when someone cheats, document everything, then bury them in facts. I drove straight to the county office. Spread the original plat and my photos side by side, the fence was over the line by up to 45 feet. I called the county attorney. He sighed. File a complaint. We'll process it in 48 hours. They built a fence in 8. That night, I cut the padlock and moved my cattle back. By sunrise, Delilah welded the gate shut and posted "No trespassing, Warner property" signs facing her neighborhood. Made me look like the paranoid rancher next door. The local paper ran a headline, "Property dispute erupts between rancher and Homeowners Association." Her quotes painted me as the aggressor, a bully, unwilling to modernize. By noon, I was the villain of Birchwood's Facebook group. That's when I called Lucinda Tate, lawyer, former prosecutor, and the only person in town meaner than me before coffee. Lucinda's office smelled like old books and burnt coffee. After reading everything, she said, this is fraud. But proving it will take months and more money than you've got. How much? 25 grand minimum. I had 11. She leaned forward. They're counting on you going broke before you win. So we fight smarter. That night, flashlight in hand, I walked the fence line again. Found survey markers 6 inches above ground, wrong. Real surveyors bury them flush. These were set in concrete buckets. Homemade fakes. I took photos, measurements, sent them to Lucinda. She replied, "This is gold, but we need the surveyor to testify." Next morning, I called Apex Survey Solutions. Disconnected. Company dissolved 4 months earlier. The owner, Marcus Teague, relocated to Arizona. No forwarding info. Either Delilah had the worst luck in Texas or she'd buried her evidence. 3 days later, I got an ethics complaint from County HR, filed by Delilah. She accused me of abusing my position to approve my own survey. False, but in politics, accusations stick like gum under a boot. The county judge asked me to take temporary leave, which is polite government talk for, "You're on your own." Delilah's lawyers, a big Dallas firm, filed a countersuit claiming my cows caused emotional distress. The media ran with it. Suddenly, the HOA was David, and I was Goliath. I could feel my reputation bleeding out in real time. Neighbors avoided eye contact at the feed store. One night, someone spray-painted "land thief" on my mailbox. Another night, someone cut my real fence, setting 40 cattle loose. Delilah denied involvement. Of course she did. Brenda, my assistant, called one afternoon, "You need to see this." She'd found public HOA financial filings, and a management company named Texas Association Services. Lucinda subpoenaed them. They handed everything over, no loyalty to Delilah. What we found flipped the whole case. $127,000 in administrative fees paid to Birchwood Holdings LLC. $345,000 in special assessments, only $89,000 actually spent. The rest? Gone. Lucinda looked up. "This isn't a fence fight anymore. It's embezzlement." That's when my daughter Natalie flew down from Denver. Environmental lawyer. Sharp as her mother. She took one look at the documents and said, "Dad, she's not just stealing from you. She's stealing from everyone." We dug into Delilah's permits and found violations everywhere: drainage too close to a protected creek, community pool inside a wetland buffer, entrance sign built on county right-of-way. Natalie called it a cocktail of fines waiting to happen. She contacted a friend in the state environmental agency, Raymond Cho, old colleague of mine. By Monday, inspectors were walking Birchwood Estates with clipboards. Lucinda filed our amended complaint that same day, now including fraud, forgery, and environmental violations. Delilah's smug calm cracked when she realized what was happening. Her attorney tried to stall. Judge wasn't having it. Within a week, investigators subpoenaed her HOA accounts. By the time the audit was done, they'd found nearly $200,000 misappropriated, money funneled to shell companies under her name. The county dropped the ethics complaint against me. Delilah resigned as HOA president before charges were filed. Her fence? Ordered removed at her expense. The grove? Mine again. When the first post came down, I stood there under my grandfather's pecan trees. Wind rustled the leaves like applause from ghosts. Natalie put her hand on my shoulder. Mom would be proud. Maybe she would. I looked across the open pasture and thought about my father's note. "Don't let anyone take this. Sometimes justice doesn't ride in on a white horse. Sometimes it walks out of a courtroom with dirt under its boots. They say possession's 9/10 of the law. But knowledge? That's the other 10th that wins it back. So if someone tries to steal what's yours, don't shout. Don't fight dirty. Document. Dig. Then let the facts do the talking." This is Eli Warner, Cedar Hollow County Surveyor. And that's how I took my land back, one line at a time.